Great to have everyone back for another episode of Coffee with Zebra. I'm Rajneesh Gupta, and today we have a very special guest with us. And that's none other than my friend Vikas Wadhwa, the Chief Operating Officer of Barcode India. Vikas, great to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity, Rajneesh.
Because it was reported that 62% of businesses in India have communicated their sustainability plans, as per a study conducted by SAP and Oxford Economics. With Indian businesses altering their business and production methods to reduce the industrial influence on the climate, it seems sustainability is growing in importance. Can you share your thoughts on this?
Rajneesh, and I would say it's a great starting question. I think one of the biggest questions that often comes to my mind, and I'm sure it is a big posing question for the modern civilization, can we really save the environment with technology? So before I kind of share my views and thoughts around that, let's look at certain data pointers. 20 years from now, the global population is expected to increase to 9 billion, right? And which only adds to the current global environment and energy crisis. And to combat this, I firmly believe that we as people, individuals, industry, and society need to become environmentally conscious of everything around us. It has to be part of, to the extent of saying that it has to be part of our organizational DNA or our DNA, especially looking from an India lens, as the most populous country with about 1.4 billion people and growing, and soon reaching to 1.6 billion in the time frame that we talked about, which is about 2 decades from now. I think it is really, really important and imperative that we kind of look at sustainability as environmental crisis very, very seriously. And if you were to look at the other data pointer of saying, India is expected to reach the number 3 spot as the world's biggest economy or the third biggest economy to the size of 26 trillion from today's sub 4 trillion, right? So there is, on one side, we have huge population. On the other side, we have a big economy set. So sustainability definitely becomes crucial. And this has already been realized by the Indian government, which is on high priority for the Indian government and the industry. Recognizing the importance, Government of India has already set up a very aggressive target to be net zero by 2070. And further to reduce the intensity, the carbon intensity by 45% by about 2030, which is not long from now, which is about 7 years. So it kind of then almost becomes a collective responsibility, collective tasks, that it should be a private, public, and individual responsibility that we go towards that common goal. And as a country, as India has already leveraged technology to effectively broaden and improve service delivery with equitable growth in mind as a major factor, that reflects on the thrust using digital technology. And interestingly, I was reading one article today where 45% of world's global payments are done in India. So that's huge. With that kind of population, to be able to achieve that 45% is huge. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. And then technology definitely plays a very, very, important role in the entire cycle of what we typically call as from production to consumption, be it sustainable warehousing or sustainable logistics, by operating, your logistics or warehouse in a way that minimizes the impact on the environment. That's going to be super critical. And then at the same time, it also maximizes the resources that we have, whether it's energy or our people, and then kind of boosting employee productivity by providing a comfortable and work environment. So that's my take on that. And simple things like by implementing energy efficient and digital systems, we can reduce the operating cost of a warehouse. So that means we're already talking about savings, whether it is a warehouse or a factory or a store. I would say we can digitize and simply go paperless, and that kind of adds to a big time on digitization and saving our environment. Tech definitely helps. in reducing wastages, especially if you were to look at cold supply chain, right? Be it in transit or it's simply a visi-cooler sitting in a retailer's outlet. And by leveraging technologies such as Internet of Things, or what we more known as called Internet of Things or IoT, we can build more responsible digital supply chain practices. When I say digital supply chain practices, I also include digital manufacturing, which has a major impact on the environment and helps in conserving and optimizing the use of resources. You will be surprised that by simple commitment to sustainability, a company or a brand can improve its reputation and profitability and attract new customers. And especially very, very important when we talk about Gen Zers or Gen Alpha, who really value environmental responsibility by a brand. So that means you're also driving a lot of brand loyalty. And as we all know, Gen Z and Alphas are also a big influencers. They're really conscious about environment. They're impulsive buyers. So I think those are some of the factors which are important. However, moving forward, compliance by laws and regulations is only further going to require companies to reduce their environmental impact and create a more sustainable supply chain practice that can help enterprises comply to this requirement. So in terms of early adoption, it's any which way is going to benefit them in the long run, looking at where we are headed, right? And as leaders, whether you look at Zebra as leaders, we already forward thinking and building products which are future ready technologies. Let's look at the mobile portfolio that is there in today's Zebra's portfolio, already offering 5G, Wi-Fi 6, upgradable to RFID. That kind of in itself strengthens the already strengthened enterprise rugged terminal portfolio, whether it's the tablets or it's the terminals. And BCI on the other end, as a leading system integrator, ISV, and a leading premium partner for Zebra, we're already implementing solutions on Zebra products for multiple use cases and industries, right? BCI software, which we sell under, for example, MobiView name or IntelliIoT, RFID, IoT, cloud offering technologies work across a manufacturing shop floor, for example, right from a raw material to shop floor to finished good to distribution to retail. All these help more sustainable business practices. For example, if I were to look at some of the examples, solutions that we provide visibility till the item level, the technologies that Zebra brings or what BCI brings to the table are deployed at point of activity where the real action happens. That means we're capturing the data at the edge layer itself as it happens. So, capturing it at the right time, at the right location, in the right process, and every time. I think those are critical aspects, and ensuring that there is a complete track and trace or traceability of products. Whether it's businesses or management is always aware when, where, how, who is performing a task or where the material is. This kind of further strengthens in terms of creating a more accurate demand forecasting and preventing, stuff like overstocking, or help build a core layer for overall reducing the wastages. Enhancing the other advantages that I can think of is enhancing the workflows, enhancing the process, optimization of resources, whether it's the labor or the inventory. Those are some of the other stuff. I would, simple stuff like if you were to think about, whether it's manufacturing or a retailer, simple stuff like electricity consumption by using IoT as a technology, you can do a lot towards your contribution towards sustainability, or using technology, which is mobility, for doing an efficient route planning or optimization. That not only saves hard dollars, but at the same time, it reduces the overall carbon footprint. So that's a big take. So on one side, the customer is saving money. On the other side, he's also contributing to the overall environment by reducing the carbon footprint. So I think the basis of this kind of becomes the basis of ultimately building a more sustainable, or what we call as a circular economy. I personally believe that we envision the digital strategies, solutions to our customers can help them build a more sustainable, agile, resilient, efficient supply chain. So, and these kind of will be encompassed around some of the main principles such as visibility, control, prevention, optimization, and efficiency.
Vikas, besides sustainability, what other topics do you think are crucial to manufacturers today?
So I have covered a lot in my previous question, but from my experience of serving the Indian industry, more specifically Indian market and Indian manufacturers for about 25 plus years, I think there are four important aspects for any manufacturer. And this is not only just for India, but anywhere across the world. The first one is man. Who is the person working? What is the method, or what you call as a process or a stage? Number three would be material. That means which is the material that is used in a process. And third, which is machine. That means which is the machine that is being used to build that product. So what we call as 4Ms. And capturing the data in manufacturing workflows is extremely critical. And as we move forward, it will become more complex as we have more higher volume and reaching what we talked about, some of the other data points of reaching 9 billion, a huge amount of GDP in India. It all, as it is, makes it very, very complex. And to have the the capability to have a greater real-time visibility over their assets and inventory, and to be able to track it literally on a real time is going to be extremely critical as we adopt Industry 4.0 and beyond. You're already talking about Industry 5.0, for example, right? This data already we have been collecting right from the stage of Industry 3.0. There have been different adoption levels. But the earlier the data used to reside in silos, right? And enterprises could not get a comprehensive view. But today the view has completely changed as Industry 4.0, the acceleration of adoption is, they want to have a comprehensive view of everything, a consolidated view, but also this gives them the capability to make more data-driven decisions. So I think that's going to be really, really critical. So not only just capturing the data in a real time at the point of activity, but further use it to what we typically call as building a supply chain control tower. I think that's going to be really, really important. I can give you one example. One of our large automotive customer wants to be always in the know, all the time, in real time, at what stage the production is. And for that, it has to be what has already been produced, what is in work in progress, what's the next schedule, do we have the material? I mean, those are the relevant questions that obviously come to any plant manager or a management team running a large OEM. And it is critical, as we all know, in the automotive industry to follow just in time, which is just in JIT, as they call it, increased throughput. And interesting fact that there is a target by all automotive OEMs to their vendors to reduce the cost year on year. So that makes it really, really critical to have visibility, control, and cost control all throughout. One such technology which we have effectively used is RFID with Zebra, which starts right at the ancillary level. So manufacturing OEM typically works as a discrete manufacturer. There is a whole array of tier 1, tier 2 suppliers who supply in the material to an OEM just in time, right? So the traceability actually starts at the ancillary supplier level itself, where the components are supplied in RFID tagged RTIs, which means returnable transport items. Moment the goods are shipped out from a vendor facility, for example, OEM gets an auto alert saying the material was shipped from XYZ. And then as the material is received in the warehouse or in the factory, there is an auto GRN that happens. So that's a classic example of how there is visibility even though using a passive technology outside the four walls of OEM. And if you look at some of the other examples of inside the four walls for an OEM, RFID supports in multiple things. For example, ensuring that there is a benchmark turnaround time being followed or not. Locating the assets whether they are in shop floor. At a shop floor level, RFID actually starts at what we call as a white body level. That means it's just the chassis right now at the moment, and then tracking it as it moves along the manufacturing process. Every station, every worker is authenticated, using those principles of man, who is the worker, what is the process, which stage that worker is there. And here we bring in, effectively use a hybrid stack of technology. So we use RFID, we use enterprise mobility, we use barcodes, by the use of handheld terminals or tablets that are installed at each of these stations or process locations. The user authenticates it, and as the RFID white body moves across the production floor, the material is identified. We are further able to now, with more use of IoT, we are able to also capture the specific machine at that particular location, parameters using IoT as a technology. So this kind of provides a comprehensive view on a real time, giving total control visibility to the customer. It also helps in minimizing rework and also kind of moving towards that error-free production, or let's say a minimal recall. I think not only it's the scale at which they do, it's also the cost saving that they kind of bring in to the overall system that they deploy, and directly or indirectly also contributing to the environment, which was the earlier question. I can cite similar examples, and I'm sure you have plenty too. Use cases in different manufacturing verticals, whether it's white goods, electronic manufacturing, which is what we call as EMS, pharmaceutical manufacturing, CPG, retail, TNL, where organizations after organizations have reaped benefits of technologies such as RFID, IoT, mobility, and many more.
Why is it important for manufacturers to be able to track and trace their products?
Another great one, concise product life cycles and a high product mix running concurrently on a shop floor are two characteristics of production today. Right? It's very, very typical. And when you go across, have discussions with multi-levels, what a manufacturer today needs is better quality control, which kind of comes in from reliable traceability system, which ensures product quality, eliminates defect. We talked about it earlier. Reducing wastages, whether it's rework or identifying at the right time, at the right place, which kind of also saves a lot of effort. Now, the second is eliminate or significantly reduce rework. A reliable traceability system ensures product quality, for example. In first place, it does that, and also eliminates defects. Number three, which is critical in today's environment, is spotting roadblocks. We already talk about a lot of AI. I think in production, it's about being able to spot those roadblocks, whether it's production difficulties or patterns that may rapidly be identified, and proactively improvements can be made. It can be more visible into the whole life cycle of each product, for example. The other thing that I can think about is managing audit trails, especially when you look at pharma or some of the other critical components that go into automotive. Audit trail is going to be super, super critical. Then traceability also offers a detailed trail of the entire product and its history, especially, for example, pharma, whether it is at a component level or a quality level or a product mix, whether it's related to safety, and then to be able to provide transparency and responsibility across the supply chain. It also demonstrates, goods that adhere to industry rules or meet the particular stringent requirements, which is, for example, in pharma, 21 CFR Chapter 11 is followed. And then an entire audit trail is required, and traceability becomes the very core for it. And last but not the least, I would say combat counterfeiting. Consumer protection is extremely important, and counterfeiting can, not only from a consumer protection standpoint, it can be a safety hazard. Substandard products in the market, whether it's food, medicines, even components, some of the components, mobile battery, we saw some of the incidences in last few years, where mobile batteries had caught fire, or home appliances. All these are going to be super critical for us, for having a concise product life cycle, and traceability is going to be extremely critical.
Because you also mentioned the importance to achieve real-time visibility over assets and inventory. I believe this can be done with the use of right RFID and locationing systems. Can you please share more?
A lot has been already covered in my earlier response, but I think the fundamental thing is RFID works on unique ID basis, right? Each item has its unique identity, and RFID is one technology which is non-line of sight. Today RFID technology is very mature, and it is very well positioned for supply chain operations. When I talk about RFID, I talk about UHFI RFID, which means ultra high frequency, which is most suited for supply chain operations. We are at that point of takeoff. I would say that, given that I have about 20 plus years of experience in this industry, is exactly the time when I got into this business, where we were at barcode, right? Almost everybody was talking about it. People were implementing barcodes in different shapes and form. And today, almost all businesses are planning to implement RFID for their supply chain operations, whether it's manufacturing, and within manufacturing, if you were to say discrete manufacturing and process manufacturing, TNL, we already seen transport logistics companies adopt RFID at pallet level, at a carton level. Retail, we already seen many large retailers globally, whether it's Zara, whether it's H&M, M&S. These are all large retailers, both for their online as well as offline operations, and even government is embracing RFID. I firmly believe the next 5 to 10 years are of RFID will completely bloom and give a leading edge to all the enterprises.
Because one common misperception is that digitalization requires a big upfront investment. What is your advice for manufacturers who may have reservations about embracing digitalization and automation in their businesses?
Interesting one, and this is something that we face quite often. But you'll be surprised that ROI is much faster. It's a common misperception that digitization, automation will require a lot of upfront capital investment, which can be, I understand, which can be a big deterrent in terms of adoption or mass scale adoption. But that's not true. I would say that, because it's not the case of one size that fit for all. Digital strategies for companies is extremely critical, and everybody's challenges are varied, and also the scale is varied. So my recommendation, my suggestion is, what should enterprises do is engage with a trusted tech partner, be it like BCI or Zebra, to study and identify what are their current pain points, what are their challenges, and also understand what is the right solution that can be recommended to help solve for that particular problem or a challenge, right? It is extremely important to pick the right solution that can be implemented at scale in future. So I think one should put a roadmap in terms of what they want to do today and what they want to do tomorrow. And I firmly believe that adoption of digital technologies is going to happen at a much rapid pace in the next 2 or 3 years. It's good to be prepared now. It's critical to start laying a foundation for their digital supply chain roadmap and implement it in phases. You could start small, do a pilot, do a POC, do a phase-wise approach, do phase 1 now, and then kind of stagger it and then scale. It's important, right? It's also important to try, succeed, and move ahead. That way, the digitization is able to scale upwards to be more advanced, and also can, adopt use of technologies such as RFID, IoT, or mobility as the business continues to grow. So that's one fundamental take from my end. And I also strongly believe that today's organizations have no choice but to invest in technology. The fast pace of adoption of technology, even at the grassroots level, if you were to look at it, even in our daily lives, smartphone has penetrated across all areas of society. And look at very much in India, we talked about it. And it's also kind of gone into the areas such as digital payment, and every person today has a smartphone, is doing transactions digitally. So our lives are now completely encompassed around technology. Most enterprises have to, start planning, whether they have already started planning or planning their digital strategies or Industry 4.0 strategies. And mobility, RFID, IoT are critical, technology pieces that they need to be competitive in today's fast-paced tech environment. Even at cost of repetition, I would say that it is important to pick the right solution, more importantly, the right partner that ensures that business continues to operate smoothly and grow.
Vikas, thanks for your time today and for those amazing insights. Hope to see you in person soon at some point in time.
Cheers to our partnership, and thank you very much for having us on the show.